Thank you. So Carolyn comes from Mansfield area, and she is from a mainstream farming background, and that's where she grew up, but was a little disillusioned with that, with the high inputs and outputs of dairy farming and the debt ratio, and so left that for other career options. She may tell us about that, I'm not sure. But now that her children have grown, she's wanting to return to a connection with the land. So they've started a biological small-scale farming venture, and she's going to tell us about that. It's called Eat Local, Eat Wild.
Just so you know, I'm not the best public speaker. It's not my forte. I much prefer to be on the land without many people around me. So you've kind of come probably the wrong day today. So this is just a quick snapshot which we'll flick through as I talk. This is our farm that we bought 3 years ago. I grew up down in Gippsland. My parents have got a dairy farm, very much in the mainstream area, and still are that today. We moved up here. We could afford to buy land. I actually worked in high-end, large-scale real estate. I used to sell large-scale dairy farms all over Victoria. I was the #1 agent for 4 years in the company that I worked for. And through that, got really disillusioned with the industrial model of farming. So the more I sold farms to overseas investors, to other large-scale farmers, I realised there's something majorly wrong with our food system. So it's kind of from the top end that I just realised this has to stop. And I guess for me, I was like, I think it can stop with me. I think I can make something and I can create something different. So our children were 8 and 10, I think, our oldest were, and craving to be on the land, craving to, have connection with what I told them about my childhood, which was on the land. And whenever we went to my family's farm, we just had arguments about chemicals, basically, and arguments about, things like spraying out weeds, spraying out entire crops. So every time we grappled with it, I just thought, I can't change what my family and their choices, and I respect their choices, but I could see that we were just parting further and further away. So we came to Bonnie-Doon, and we basically started with 10 chickens we started with, 10 chickens and 10 sheep on 100 acres, and went, oh my God, what are we going to do here? And obviously I'd come from a large-scale farm, but financially we wanted to start very small and grow as we could financially. So we set up what we believe, sorry about some of the graphic photos, I hope there's not too many vegetarians in the room. Sorry, I didn't think about that one. We wanted to create an ethical, a sustainable, a replicatable and a local model. They were our 4 things. For me, it's about setting up a farm for our family and to make it a model that then can be replicated, not just for us. We don't want a bigger farm. What I want to do is help other people to have their farm and another farm that all can come into a community to feed that community. So there's a number of different things that includes. So for me, it's about educating the next generation. So I probably should just talk a little bit about farm while these are flicking through. So on our farm, we've now run beef, lamb, chicken and eggs. We do everything on a biological model. So what that means is we use biodynamic practices. So these are biodynamic sprays coming down the flow forms. We don't use any chemicals whatsoever. And when we have weeds, we have alternative strategies that we use them by. So some of the struggles that we've had, obviously weeds. Obviously, we have a lot of crop dusters in our area. There's certain major things in Mansfield that are mainstream. So to take it on and go, we're going to get certified in the first year is just never going to happen. So our ambition is to become certified, not because I need to be certified to sell our product. So sorry, we sell our product into Melbourne. We do monthly. Sorry, my keen hunting son there. We sell our produce into Melbourne on a monthly basis, so people order a selection, so a 3, 5 or 10 kilo or 20 kilo selection of meats, and that meat is whatever's available that month. So it might be lamb, it might be beef, it might be a mix, it might be chicken, and they get that delivered into the Yarra Valley, Melbourne, Mansfield. We're hoping one day we might have something around this area, but at this stage we don't. And through that model, obviously we're wanting to make it replicatable, not just for us so that it can continue, but for other people to do the same. So one of the things I'll talk about today is something called the Open Food Network, which is basically a model or a platform to make it possible for more farmers to be able to sell their product. For me, I guess watching traditional farming families just be price takers their whole lives, I guess that's what I've grown up with, parents that get paid 18 to 20 cents per litre of milk, and that's just how it is. Beef farmers in my area, both my neighbours on both sides are completely mainstream. They get paid about $1 a kilo for their beef. And it just breaks my heart because it's beautiful beef, it looks just like ours does. Obviously they use chemicals, but that's not my thing, it's about them not getting a fair price. So for me, it's about educating the next generation to actually help break the chain of the corporates so that we don't have to be price takers anymore. So that's one of the reasons that we set our farm up the way we did, was we wanted to have produce that we could sell direct and empower not just ourselves, but the people buying our product as well. They know that they're getting a fair product, we know we're getting a fair price, and we can create a viable farm. So what we're doing is actually setting up a national intern program to basically be able to put young people into farms like ours. We've got a chicken operation. You saw the young white chickens, they're our meat chickens. We just can't manage the workload of the chickens, and so we want to put a young intern in there. So that's our chickens there. We can't keep up with demand for our chickens. Like, we have people wanting them in 6 months' time, wanting to order them. They only take 8 weeks to grow, but we've got orders for 6 months down the track. So my ambition is to create a national intern program, and that is about helping farmers to reduce their chemicals. So to be part of the intern program, you have to have sustainable or biological farming aspirations. You don't have to be certified, but that has to be your intent. And the students obviously have to want to know about organic farming. So together we can try and help the massive labour shortage, as well as create more organic farms across Australia-wide. So where does our food come from? So obviously we're trying to create a local food system here. We would really like to keep our food within 100 k's of Melbourne. I was really surprised, I think other people have already mentioned it. We moved to Bonnie thinking, I know there's all these amazing biodynamic producers just north of us, all fully certified. Some of them have been biodynamic for 20 years. But none of that produce gets to Mansfield. And I'm just going, what the heck is this? When I arrived, we came from the Yarra Valley, where we were surrounded with fantastic organic produce, and I couldn't believe how expensive it was and how unavailable it was. So for me, it's about trying to create, I guess, a hub that can actually make organic food affordable. I don't believe that organics should be out of reach. I think, sorry, I've forgotten that girl's name, but what she said was just fantastic about trying to make organic food or good quality food actually affordable for everybody. And that's certainly my ambition with our meat. Our meat's not overly priced. It's under $20 a kilo for organic meat, and one day they'll be certified as well. That's my intent, is that it stays underneath where you go to the supermarket and you make a conscious choice. Am I going to buy that, or am I going to buy direct from the farmer for the same price? That's pretty much where we want it to see it. And so if we can just, Nick, is it okay if we just look across the Open Food Network? So if I can just quickly explain the Open Food Network. So these guys asked me to do a trial of their software. So there's 5 trials running in Victoria. I've got the Northeast trial that I'm doing with our business at the moment. And as I said at the beginning, my hope is that we can put other producers into this, so that, you know, we produce what we produce, someone else might produce, you know, pork, or someone else might produce vegetables, and it can all be part of this same system. The single biggest reason that farmers don't seem to sell their product is, one is their own self-confidence, but second is the technology side of things. I tell you what, if I didn't have a computer, I'd be such a happier person. I'm very good at computers, I can do them very well, but they just do my head in. So this system is basically trying to alleviate some of that. I can tell you it is still in the trial and it's not ready to launch at this point. Can you make it any smaller next? No? No? Okay, so that's only a little small part of the screen. So what this has done is, we've just got an Open Food Network. This is actually, if you write down that website, you can go home and have a look at it. So Open Food Network, we're actually down here. Just go down. Yep. So you just click on here and you can see, so right now this is how you can order our product. We still get 80% of our stuff direct. People like to send me an email and order it. But you can do this in any farm. So these are just different businesses here. So this is Tabby from Jono Farms, who you may know. Her and I are running a similar trial. We both do similar things, although they have quite different farms. So just click on that. Sorry?
Experience internet difficulties.
That's normal.
Anyway, so he clicks on that and it goes to the next screen, and then it lists all our different products. So it's really just a shopping cart, but what it is it means that the consumer has a direct relationship with buying my product from me through a platform that I actually have nothing to do with. So all I do is I put my stuff on the back, they order it, that order comes through to me. So this is how you order a 20 kilo or a 3 kilo, and every month I change that. So I change whatever's available. So this month we've just got a seasonal selection. Some months we might just have chicken, other months we've just had a farm day, so people book in if you go down further. So the mixed beefs, the pasture eggs, so you can sort of have whatever you want on there. So I'm just showing you, just so you know, these sort of things are the ones that are making farmers selling their produce direct possible. And for me that's one of the big things, because I want, if someone can produce garlic, I want them to be able to sell it direct easily. You know, if someone sells blueberries, I want them to be able to sell it easily. And that's, you know, farmers markets are great. Everybody says to me, why don't you do farmers markets? I go, because I have 3 kids and I love watching my kids play soccer. And I won't be at a farmers market on a Saturday. Really sorry, but I'm going to my first market this Saturday all year. And that's only because we have a massive beast that we have extra meat for. So, yeah, for me it's about empowering the producer to be able to do this easily. Okay. The other thing I just wanted to touch on was, a part of the whole educational process where I'm actually working really closely. Mansfield has one of the leading apprentice programs in the state at the high school. They have over 120 school apprentice programs running at any time. So that's 120 kids doing school-based apprenticeships at school. So they don't leave school to do the apprenticeships, they stay at school. Julie Elvis is heading up the program. She's a great friend of mine. And they're actually doing a fantastic thing in agriculture, and we're actually bringing in an organics education as well, which is really exciting because obviously my son's at school learning all about chemical user certificates and all these great things, and then he comes home and works on the organic farm and gets slammed by all his mates because his mum doesn't spray her Kate weed and all this kind of stuff. So we're actually taking on an apprentice who comes to our farm on Thursdays and works with me, so I actually get to influence and go and speak at the school. But the great thing about it is that she's actually she was nominated for the Rural Women, Victorian Rural Women's of the Year last year, just the last year. And she's actually, as part of her funding for that, she's wanting to replicate that in other schools. And so we're really excited to be able to replicate that program, because that can actually help farmers to be able to have help on a Thursday from young kids that actually want to be long-term in agriculture. I guess my thing is everybody talks about woofers and 457 visas. Even the work for the dole obviously has been mentioned. The problem with that is it doesn't address the long-term labour shortage in terms of people long-term wanting to be in agriculture. I wanted to be in agriculture when I was 15, but because I was good at school and I was a little bit questioning the whole chemical thing, I was told not to stay in farming because I was good at school. So, and that's just so wrong. Like, I think if someone's good at school, they absolutely should be a farmer. You don't need to be good at school to be a farmer. So for me, I guess trying to change the school system as well, so from the bottom up to create that. I was at a conference last week with the Organic Federation of Australia. Their biggest mantra, the Organic Federation of Australia, sit above all the certifying bodies. So there's the 5 certifying bodies, the BFA, the NASA, all the different ones. And Organic Federation of Australia essentially sit above them. And they've got a mantra from China, from Asia, from a lot of these European countries for Australia to grow its certified land. So people say to me, why do you want to be certified? For me, it's about growing the land. It's not because I need that to sell my produce, And so for us, the intern program, we want to be able to grow the land and grow the people that know how to work on the land. Because working on an organic farm is very different, and that's certainly what we do. So that's just a quick snapshot of us. And I guess in reference to today, my whole thing is about, in Mansfield, is trying to break down the barriers of that farming community, of people saying, we grow all this food, but it all just goes to Melbourne. And I guess just like you guys are here, we're trying to say, well, how can we keep it there? So we're starting small producer conversations. So we've, I guess for me, I'm not about owning any part of it, but just saying I want to be a producer and help other producers to be able to produce locally. So that means, if that means mentoring them to be able to grow more effectively, if that means helping them to market their product, I'll do that as well. So I just think if we can, in this area, start with those small conversations, that really helps.
Yeah.
So.
Just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the Mansfield eaters and the demand side for the kind of produce that you and like-minded farmers are.
Yeah, I wish Claire Hoffman was here. She runs the organic shop in Mansfield. So she's a good friend of mine. I think Mansfield's a very mainstream area. So organics is very new. It's not established there. It's becoming more established. I think as it becomes more mainstream in other areas, then Mansfield seems to follow. The best thing about Mansfield is we have a lot of tourists that come in. And the tourists come in, and every single long weekend we sell out of all of our eggs everywhere. Whereas during the week, the locals still use caged eggs, which just horrifies me. So it's a work in progress, I guess.
And here, yep.
When you were talking about the Open Food Network shop,
Yep.
you order online.
Yep.
How does the distribution work?
The distribution is at this point, the central, there's the producer, so that's me at this point. So people order from me, and then I deliver. So I am the producer and I am the deliverer. After the trial, and when there's multiple people part of it, like once they've, obviously, which is probably next year, the middle of next year, there'll be a distribution run, in a sense. So we go from Mansfield. My intent is that we pick up organic veggies along the way, we pick up berries, we pick up everything on the way into Melbourne, and then on the way back we bring the bulk products that we want to get from Melbourne that we can't get locally. Yeah. So the distribution is obviously the second stage. At the moment it's the direct from the producer to the delivery stage. Yeah.
Katie?
Oh, sorry, I've got a couple of questions. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So do you pay your interns?
Do we pay interns? The interns, that we're still just rolling the program out. So at this point, the people that we want to be the interns are people that have done this organic course that we're working in conjunction with. So they've done the course, and the third year of that course will be an internship year, and they will be eligible for Austudy for that year. So that's how we're getting around. So there will be a financial contribution from the farmer to them, but it won't be in a paid.
Because we looked at paying the interns for Austudy because, with an apprenticeship, you're actually better off getting the interns doing Austudy than getting apprenticeship wages.
That's right. They actually get more money that way. Yeah. And we're trying to make it so that the farmer has, I always say, no one values something they don't pay for. So if you pay for your intern, then you actually value what they are. And the intern values, because he realises he wouldn't have that opportunity without you.
Yeah. Have you actually have a training organisation to be able to...
It's under the umbrella of a training organisation. We won't pay for it. I'm qualified to be a trainer, but that's not my intent. I want to be able to help other people.
Yep.
In relation to the intern program, is there a way that you're helping people establish themselves on the land? Like the whole, being able to afford to buy land for a start?
Yeah. It was funny actually, Fiona and I were talking, I promise we weren't talking what was on, but the social traders thing, I guess one of my big things, having come from real estate, having come from equity partnership arrangements, that's what I did in my background. I passionately would love to be able to help social traders to be able to see the value in buying land. I'm not sure if you heard on the news this morning how the Melbourne City Council has just bought the piece of land next to the Queen Victoria Market because they see it as value, and they see it as they want to protect the ethos of the whole Victoria Market. And I thought, imagine if they saw the value of buying the adjoining farmland to the organic farm that's already there. Imagine that. So absolutely, the intern program is four-pronged. I didn't want to go into too much detail, but there's like basic internships where people can just work and in exchange there's lease arrangements, there's vendor term arrangements, there's a number of different ways with the long-term intent that maybe one day they might be able to look at owning land, but owning land shouldn't be seen as the be-all to end-all. Like in farming, it's the single biggest reason people don't succeed in farming is because of debt. So the single biggest reason we moved here is because we could sell a piece of land in the Yarra Valley for the same price by something here, whereas in the Gippsland it was 4 times as much for the same piece
So
of
there
land.
needs to be that connection because there's a lot of traditional farmers, or all these people that have actually got land, that have actually got no succession. There's so many people that don't want to farm, but then there's so many people that want to but that actually don't have it. So it's this connection. It's happening in the States as well with Sherry.
Chef farmer.
Eager farmer and things. So I suppose it's something similar today. It's about this connection that's working.
Yeah, and it's about creating, I guess for me, because I have a really good, I've done the negotiating side of things for a long time. I guess I believe there has to be a middle person. There has to be a student or an intern, and there has to be a farmer, and there has to be someone who has a legal binding document between those two parties for it to succeed. Because farmers change their mind, students change their mind. You've got to have something that sits between.
It's also not our skill set to all the times.
No. Farmers aren't the best communicators.
Sorry. The farmer who makes up, he rents them.
Yeah.
So, it's all over.
That's exactly. And Australia's just obsessed with buying land, even farmland, and it's not necessarily the answer.
So, Christian,
Sorry, I'll be asking lots. But we're farmers and we've had a couple of children that have gone through and done school-based apprenticeship. I think 2 points. There's this stigma that you don't want your children to end up on a farm because you'll never make money, you'll have all this debt. So I think it's really important, and I'm really pleased to hear about going to the schools. And I think, so I'd like to contact you about that later, so that the kids come through that there is an opportunity to continue on, but it's in a way that, like you're proposing now. And also another benefit we've found is the mental health side of the isolation of farmers, and having a young person come onto the farm one day with something to look forward to can be tremendous, and I think that needs to be addressed with getting incentives, funding and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think they're both really great points. I think that's that whole mainstream model. Like for me, I guess to tell my son to go and join a 10,000 acre sheep property in Mansfield, I would hesitate to recommend that, because I think the financial viability of that, unless you're born into that farm, it's probably never going to own even a piece of that land in that kind of way. The Organic Federation of Australia, they're passionate about changing the whole food system in terms of making it viable and not being part of this industrial model. So it's almost a complete flipping it on its head. And I think changing the education system is the way to start from the bottom, and it's not going to be a quick thing. It's going to be a 10 to 15 year progress. But for me, I guess I wish I had that when I was 15. I wanted it, and I knew what it was. I knew what it was, but I couldn't find it.
And just that certified. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say they don't use chemicals, but to get that certification, all the effort and the time and the money that's invested, is it worth it?
Well, I can tell you I've done a lot of the research. I actually help people to become certified, so that's part of what I'm doing now as well in my spare time. There's a certifying group now where you can get certified for $400 a year, $460 I think it is. Minimum auditing amounts. They just want to check all the checks and balances. It's a starting point. For me, as I said, I don't get certified because I need to sell my product that way, although I'm happy to do that. But I do it because I want our land to be added to the pool of land that needs to be certified in Australia for us to change the food system. If we're going to have any kind of impact, we need to say, yes, our farm is clean, or this land is clean. And that for me is the important part. So yeah, I think the whole certification side of things needs better marketing, because I rang up a certifying group last week and they told me it's $2,800 up front to start to my certification process. And I'm like, oh my God. Someone told me about it, so I thought I'd just ring them and find out, and that was actually the case. You know, so we need to market this and say this is the group that you should start with. Like, so for us, we will start with a small group. We may move to another certifying body, and that's okay. It's once you're in, it's transferable. Yeah.
Yes,
And with certification, we sell stuff at the farmers market, and people go, oh, well, we just got certified.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, well, it doesn't matter because you told me that it's chemical free. I can tell you about 4 farmers that lie. They're really good. And say, oh, I don't spray, you use Roundup. Oh, I don't use any chemicals, you use chemical fertiliser. Oh, I don't use any pesticides, you use Roundup. It's like, people lie about their produce.
I had a friend of mine who came, I have a daughter from Ethiopia, and I had a gorgeous African American come and visit, help me with her dreadlocks last week, and she came to the farmers market in Mansfield last Saturday, and I knew it was a risk. I was like, oh, do I take her? She's an absolute passionate organic person, and she walked up the main street. I'm glad our farmers market person's not here, but walked up the main aisle. You know, there's a big market, probably 6 lengths of this on both sides, you know, big market. And she said, I just want to get some fruit veggies to take home. And she walked up every veggie grower and every tomato grower, and none of them were chemical free. Like, none of them, not one of them were organic. You know. And you just go, that's Mansfield. They bring their hydroponic stuff from up on the Murray. I'm not sure if that comes here, but we get all of that. Cobram, these big veggie growers, they come to the farmers market. They don't grow, they grow it, but they use chemicals.
Maybe one last question? Yes.
Where do you get your animals processed?
Now, there's a big question. How long do you have? We are passionately, again, in my spare time, we are passionately hoping that we can create a community-based abattoir in the northeast. Like, we are just so over the processing side of things. Illegally, I would like to get my meat processed on farm and be able to sell it direct to you, straight from the farm, in my legal cool room, and Bob's your uncle. I'm not allowed to sell 1 kilo that way. I'm not allowed to kill 1 lamb, I'm not allowed to kill 1 beast. We have to drive it an hour to Wangaratta. Last week I got them 1 process. They rang me and said, I think we've got it mixed up with someone else's. You know, it's really stressful, and I just find it really difficult. So we are really hoping, obviously we process a lot ourselves, they're all for us, just by the way, but they're not for you. Yeah, at the moment there's Wangaratta, and there's also Benalla. Benalla, we have issues, we drive in there's dead pigs that, you know, like, it's just traumatic. I almost need counselling after I've been there. So, yeah, the processing is a massive issue. For our chickens, we have to drive them all the way to Sunshine. It's the only processor in Victoria. And the worst thing is we grow them organically the whole way through, and PrimeSafe have this stupid regulation. I believe it's a misinterpretation, but who can you argue with PrimeSafe? It has this thing where every surface needs to be wiped with a chlorine solution. That's what the wording says. So what the processor does is he actually dips the chickens in a chlorine bath. So what I do is I jump up and down and I make it really, really low, but they break the rule, what they believe is the rule, to process my chickens because they're the only organic ones. So it's really complicated, that the processing is really difficult.
It's such a key component to your system.
Absolutely.
And it's one of your highest risks, you know, when you're a meat producer, that it's so out of control.
Yeah. And I think the only solution is all of the producers getting their heads together. We're trying to, we're thinking about doing a social enterprise, a community raising, you know, like a crowdfunding, sorry, that's what I was trying to think, and actually creating a small abattoir in the northeast area. Yeah. That's what we're sort of thinking.
There's one busting question.
Really quick one. Have you heard of Kim Skyring and her?
Yeah, we're in touch with Kim. Yeah. She's got all my notes. She's
yeah. I just wanted to make sure you had that.
Well, thank you so much, Carolyn. Again,